What up, everybody? Welcome to the You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast, proud members of the You Run Podcast Network. This is another episode of Greg Hasn't Seen It. I am the student, the little snot-nosed little brat. Call me Bender, call me Bart Simpson. I don't know what I'm talking about. Greg Hoey. And joined by the awesome, the teacher, teach me everything I know, from Pop Culture Reflections, Justin Skoviak. Justin, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. Somebody get the number of that truck. Did you just say I taught you everything you know?
Everything I know.
Wow.
About movies.
Unbelievable. I don't even know what to say about that. Happy to be here, though, and at least you didn't say I was from Philadelphia, so thank you, Greg. I love you.
I was going to make that joke, but, I'll put that in my safe pocket. Also, another teacher. Substitute teacher? No. He's fully employed. We got John, don't call him Jonathan, from the Dewey Pod Monster. John, how you doing tonight?
I'm the one that's here to take all the good movies and teach you all the things about bad movies and make you feel good about it.
I did work at Blockbuster, and pathetically, I missed a lot of movies on the shelves. I was too busy watching, The Sopranos and
Fast and the Furious 4.
I watched some Lindsay Lohan movies. I definitely watched Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. I watched Cat People, and that ended my movie watching in Blockbuster.
I watched Machete. She's in that, so I can't blame you. So she's not all bad.
She's not at all. She was also in Eastbound and Down. She was, or wait,
was
no.
she? I forgot that.
Or was she in Vice Principals? I think she was in Eastbound and Down. I think she was Kenny Powers' daughter, or.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me, but I don't remember that. But I also haven't watched that since it was on in its first run. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like last season type of shit. I'm pretty sure she was in there. It was a joke. Before we get into this, as you guys know, I'm a tire guy. My job is very tiring, slinging tires. So
hold on a second. Have you seen Bad Boys, the original Bad Boys?
With Will Smith?
Yes.
I had to slap you. Of course I have.
You know what? You should not slap me because I have a list running of movies that we should slap you for having not seen. But the reason why I'm saying that is you should start referring to yourself as a rubber man.
Hey, real quick though, did you see the original Bad Boys that was even original before the original Bad Boys with Sean Penn from the 80s, the prison flick?
Yes, I have.
Jesus,
actually.
I forgot about that.
I have. I told you I went on a whole Sean Penn kick. It's also got the guy from Highlander and Shawshank Redemption.
Correct, yes.
Clancy Brown.
Yep, sure does.
Boom!
I'll never forget the whole soap thing in the pillowcase beating. That
Yeah.
stuck with me all these years.
They did that in your favorite movie, too. They did that in Forrest Gump.
And he was beating me. So it's winter in New England and in Detroit and in Pennsylvania, everywhere, a lot of the places. So that means it's winter tire season, and it's very tiring times 10. So this last week has kicked my ass, and my girlfriend was getting her hair done, and she was like, "Oh, I ran over there and got a massage." Now, have you guys ever got a massage before? A professional massage?
No, I don't like being touched, so it's not for me. My wife gets them like two times a month or something like that, but I don't care who it is. If I'm not married to you, I don't want your hands on me. So
yep, funny enough, I'm exactly the same way. I hate being touched, so no massage for me.
Touch me, touch me. So I had never had a massage, and I asked my girlfriend, what's the deal? Do I need to am I in my boxers? Am I nude? She's like, "Oh yeah, you're nude." I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting."
Did it move?
It did not. That's what everybody has asked me. Did you get a fucking boner? I was like, I did not get a boner.
you didn't get the right kind of massage.
Yeah, maybe that's a me problem. I get there, and they're like, "All right, take off your clothes and lay face down."
Jacket.
Meanwhile, I didn't know I was supposed to cover up with a towel. So I take off my clothes, I lay down, dick down, ass up, and the door is right by the lobby. And this girl, she opens the door. She's like, "Whoa, you gotta cover up." And there was a blanket I was supposed to use apparently. And for the first 20 minutes of the massage, that's all I was thinking. I was like, "Wow, what an idiot!" I didn't cover up.
What a great story,
You know what? It
though.
probably happens 5 times a day there. So
I was like, "It's my first time. It's my first time." And your face is down. It's there's like a hole in the bed you're laying down in. I was drooling.
And I put my dick in the
time.
hole, and it just didn't work.
Oh man! So I just kind of covered my butt up a little bit, and she walked in and she's like putting it over my shoulders, putting it over my legs. I was like, all right. So I blew the massage. But like I say, I had an hour and a half, and it was absolutely amazing, and my body felt amazing after that. So
how'd your butt feel?
Embarrassed.
Yeah.
My butt was embarrassed.
It'll be fine.
I told some of my friends that, like, what? You're a fucking idiot. You didn't know to, like, cover up? I was like, I don't know. Michelle told me to be nude, so I didn't, like, I thought she was going to be, like, rubbing my butt. Like, I don't know.
Did they have a chair in there that you could sit on nude while she walked in, just kind of presenting everything? Like, I don't know where we start. So,
well, good thing I wasn't laying face up, you know?
No, that too. So.
Just covering my shit, like, I'm ready. You know, it was also very thin walls because I heard people like getting changed. I heard like the slapping of the skin on like other people. It's like, God, this isn't a high quality massage parlor. But
nothing about that sounds good to me. But
it was worth it.
Power
oh my God, it was so worth it. Like that hour and a half went by so fast. I was drooling. I had snot in my nose. I was like, I just need to like lift my head up.
Again, you're not selling this at all. So.
That was a me problem.
You mentioned it's winter. I have enough snot and whatnot drooling going on without having to have some awkward nude encounter.
I was going to say, that's happening to me right now, and I'm not laying down.
Right. Well, speaking of winter, what are we covering tonight?
Okay, so before we get into that, I got to ask you a question because we've been kicking this around since we started this series, and I got to know, and I'm very curious about this. Of all the movies you haven't seen, we know that you're a fan of the Terrifier series. You've seen all 3 of them, correct?
Yes.
What brought you to Terrifier? And I always say that because generally when you get into, like, if you were like 18, I could see how Terrifier is like where you start your horror movie journey. For you, you're a year or two older than 18, and we know some of the things that you skipped. I'm kind of curious how Terrifier landed in your lap, and that was what kind of hooked you. Or I don't know if it hooked you, if it's what hooked you, but it's obviously been one that you become a fan of.
Well, I have seen Art the Clown in like images and horror images before, so he was kind of fascinating to me because he's very scary looking. And I had heard that it was kind of a scary, gruesome movie. And I want to say it was the You Run Podcast Network because I have all these things shoved in my face, you know, especially at the massage. Yeah. And so I just saw pictures of Art the Clown, whether it be like Scott and Mark covering it or, you know, anybody like, you know, Movies for Days covering it. I just saw Art in the...
You're just going to skip my show? We covered all those too. Thanks.
Yeah. That's maybe before I knew of you guys.
I mean, that's not accurate, but that's cool. I don't care either way. So.
So I also like clowns. Like I haven't seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Obviously, I know him. I know the guy.
Oh my God, like, we're gonna fix that too.
Like drinks the blood with a straw from like one of the body bags. I've seen that scene. I love Pennywise. I love the book It. So clowns are creepy, and that clown was very creepy. I also saw, not that I'm super proud of this, I saw like one of the seasons of American Horror Story. Which I don't think American Horror Story is the greatest show, but that clown was pretty fucking creepy in American Horror Story. So I don't know. They
did a whole season on clowns, didn't they?
Or that one clown was in there. He was like part of the whole story, and okay. he was very fucking creepy looking. And I've seen pictures of Art the Clown throughout the years, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check it out. And I don't know why, because the first one really was just kind of a torture fest, and the second one kind of had a little bit more of a backstory, and also was probably the most gruesome one of them all. And then I thought the third one had a decent backstory, and the acting was a little better, and they had Uncle Greg in there, so I was like, I'm in.
I still think the first one's the most gruesome, but I was just curious because, again, not that I'm not judging. Like, wherever you start's fine. Like, there's no problem with that, but that's like a pretty... I mean, talk about jumping into the deep end with, like, slasher movies. Like, you're going right for it with that, for better or worse, and, I mean... My opinions on Terrifier are pretty well known. I'm sure I know I've had conversations. Yeah, I know I've had conversations with Justin about it too, and I don't even remember if you've seen them all at this point. I don't think you have, unless I'm wrong. Yeah, you.
I seen the first and the second one. I haven't seen the third yet, but it took me a while to even sit down and watch them, because I told the story both to John and I think you, Greg, about how I just couldn't get into them. They're a little too like fucking gruesome for me, and
Yep.
like the first one didn't have much of a story, and then my daughter like begged me to watch the second one. She's like, "There's more of a story," and I remember Greg mentioned. I think John told me that, so I'm like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." I actually enjoyed a lot of part two. It was the bedroom scene that the whole murder of the chick at the house in the bedroom, and how it just kept going on, and bleaching the fucking
Yeah.
wounds and salt in
So
the wounds. And I'm like, okay, I take that out. I actually think it's a really good horror film. I think Selena's a great final girl as well. So there's a lot I like about part two, and I will actually plan on watching part three here before the holidays, since it's Christmas themed and everything. I'm going to give it a shot. So there's things that I finally appreciate about it that I wasn't giving it a chance on after seeing some of the first one, but I actually ended up going back rewatching the first one. Again, it doesn't have much of a story, but there's a
It's a
lot
proof of
that I
concept.
appreciate.
It feels like
Yeah, it
he
is.
said, "I have $20,000 and I can do this. What do you think I can do with $2 million?" And then you get Terrifier 2. Then you double it again, and you get Terrifier 3. And
I appreciate the low budget. I appreciate the effects that's in these films. I really appreciate a lot of what he does with it. So yeah, for that, like I said, I haven't seen the third one yet. I do plan on it, but yeah, back to what you were talking about, John.
it's just that, like, it's an interesting film series. Like, my favorite thing about the Terrifier series is that it's the biggest proof that studios should have right now that low budget horror movies do make money. And you can't argue a multi-million-dollar return on a $20,000 investment from the first movie, not to mention what you got out of the other ones. The third movie, I think, is, I'm a sucker for like a Christmas slasher, like that, for whatever reason, works for me. That probably says more about me than the movie. But like I said, it's just a really, like, I don't know what your actual jumping off point would be, but just for the sake of argument, to get into those kinds of movies, it's an interesting, whether it's an early like find or a jumping off point or whatever. I, like I said, holy shit, you went into the deep end like head first and went as far down as you could as far as modern horror goes. Anyway, like, there's movies like Maniac that come to mind that I'd say are just as gruesome as what anything in Terrifier. But like, a movie like Maniac comes around every like 10 years or so, and you could make the same argument for Terrifier. So
that's like one of the first movies me and my girlfriend watched together was Terrifier. I knew she was a keeper.
hey, whatever works. So
We have a little Christmas tradition now. We're gonna watch Terrifier 3. And I do think it's the best one. I think it starts to show a little humor from Art the Clown as well too. I know the second one did as well too, but a lot of people don't like Freddy when he's humorous. Again, Greg hasn't seen it 1 or 2. I've seen 3 down the line, so I gotta.
see, I think Freddy's
change that.
humorous in all of them. Like, I think that's part
Yeah.
of what makes Freddy is he's a, like, wisecracking asshole mixed up in a slasher.
Even in
The
the
thing
first
with
2.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
but
like I don't get like I'm glad that John brought that up. I hate that everyone's like, well, Freddy gets too humorous, or they dial in the humor too much. Freddy's a fucking knucklehead comedic character from Jump Street, from the very first film. Whether it's cutting fingers off and making his goofy face about it, long arms, licking her through the phone, like all. He's funny from the get go, and I think that's some of the charm and the appeal of the character and the franchise.
Absolutely.
I think Nightmare, just like Friday and Halloween, and really any series that got started in the first half of the 80s. And Greg, you'll notice this once we get further into this series, and I know I've had this conversation with Justin. There's a point right around 1985 where all of a sudden movies have a whole different color palette, a whole different vibe, a whole different like sense of humor. That's when you start seeing a lot more like stupid gratuitous nudity. Not that it wasn't in some of the older movies, but like, that's where you really start hammering home, okay, we need 10 to 15, like 18 to 22-year-olds. At least 3 of them have to have D cups. They have to take their shirts off. And whoever is listed, you can, like, top billing is the last person to die. And it just becomes more cookie cutter. And this isn't like hard and fast. Obviously, there's exceptions to this, but it becomes more formulaic and more, they try to soften it to I mean, the bottom line is they soften it because it makes more money that way. It has a wider audience. And like, I personally think the Friday the 13th series is the best example of this, going from part 4. You could even make the argument from part 4 to part 6, which are both great, but really from part 4 to part 5 is where you really start seeing that. And then with Freddy, it's there, but it's really, Justin, I apologize in advance because I know your opinion on this one. I think it's between part 3 and 4 where that starts to kind of slide the scale a little bit to being more, not goofy, but they try to put more humor in it as opposed to what they did in 1, 2, and 3.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that it's all about marketing at that point. They were looking to sell dolls and action figures
Yeah.
and Halloween costumes, and I get all that. So from a marketing standpoint, I think it was genius. But for fans of the series, it did get into goofy territory, especially 5 and fucking Freddy's Dead are
6.
just fucking awful in a lot of ways. So yeah, absolutely.
It's like Freddy was Metallica. He cut his hair.
Yeah, he was a baby for a little bit. And which one was the one where he does the Wizard of Oz things? Was that 5 or 6?
That was Freddy's
It was
Dead.
5.
Yeah,
was that
Freddy's
6?
Dead.
Yeah.
No, it was Freddy's Dead. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. So anyway, that seems about as good a point as any to transition into this. So this is not a just retrospective on horror at the moment. We could
Although
make
that
an
would be
episode
fun,
about
too.
that. Yeah, we could make an episode just bullshitting about that. That would be something we could do. But today we're going to talk about the movie Jack Frost. Greg hasn't seen this movie. We're missing some people here, so we'll fill in where we need to, if we need to. I'm going to hand it over to Justin to start. And Justin, why don't you go ahead and open this up, give us a little bit of a breakdown on the plot on Jack Frost, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So the movie was released on video only, I believe, on November 18th, 1997. So here's my half-ass breakdown of what this movie's about. Murderer douchebag Jack Frost gets splooged with acid and has his DNA merged with snow and comes back as a one-liner spewing killer snowman. There you go. That's what the movie's about.
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
So this is a movie that was directed by Michael Cooney. His only other credit that I can find as far as film is concerned is Jack Frost 2, The Revenge of the Mutant Snowman. This stars Christopher Albert as Sam, the lead cop, I guess. He's in a shit ton of TV. He's mostly like bounced around between X-Files, Walker, Texas Ranger, Beverly Hills 90210, Matlock, and of course Jack Frost 2. And he's also dead, like in real life, so no more of him. Scott McDonald plays the voice of Jack Frost. He's mostly known for this and like video games and shit like that. He's not dead, which is good. And then this is the first. It's interesting because this is credited as Shannon Elizabeth's first film. Although if you look on IMDb, she has a couple credits that are a year or two before this. So I don't know if she recorded those first and this released. I don't know how that works, but this is credited as her first film. You probably know her more likely from American Pie. I like to think of her from Night of the Demons, even though it's a remake. I actually enjoy that remake. You can fight me about that later if you need to. And of course, she's Jay's main love interest in the movie Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I believe she comes back in that franchise later.
Scary movie as well. Isn't Michael Keaton in this one? That's the one I watched.
Well, that came out next year, the year after this. I'm going to fill in a little bit on this. I'm going to ask before we start going into the film itself. So this series is based around movies that Greg hasn't seen for whatever reason. Greg, is this a movie that was even on your radar? I have to think if you were working in a video store, the VHS box for this alone had to be something that you were aware of.
Yes,
But
I remember walking by the horror section and seeing the holographic horror covers because there was many holographic horror covers, and I remember this one because when you turned, it was a snowman, and when you turned it, he had teeth. So I totally remember this one, and I just remember thinking like, this movie looks so. This is probably so fucking cheesy. Little do I know, it was like basically starring Daniel Day-Lewis. It was that good of acting.
Did you have any preconceived thoughts about this one before you started watching it, or did you go into this, aside from knowing about the hologram, as blind as you could?
Oh, I went in as fucking blind as I could.
Did Michelle watch this with you?
Michelle so I watched this twice. Michelle watched it with me once, and then she was making jewelry with her friend Sandy.
Was it her first time as well?
Oh yeah, And I got reviews from both of them. And
Right.
I'll just say Sandy. We'll get to the reviews later, but
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of want to come back around to that too, because so for those who haven't caught up, we've already in the series covered Halloween and Sleepaway Camp. Halloween is what I would call an S tier movie. Regardless of your opinion on it, you can't argue the impact that that's had on film alone, let alone horror. Sleepaway Camp is definitely in the cult classic realm. And this time around, we're definitely taking Greg in the VHS, video store horror movie aisle, because I know for me, this was one that video, that box with that hologram, that's all I needed. I didn't give a shit was on the tape. I was renting the fuck out of that video. I think I rented it in summer, because I don't remember getting this around Christmas until the second or third time that I watched it. And just totally, it checks a lot of boxes that I'm sure we'll get into. And Justin, I don't know if you have a similar story with finding this one, but
100%. John and I have talked about this at nauseum, and I've talked about it with Greg too. Like back in the '90s, that's how I decided what I was renting. Renting was the cover art, and I remember this like it was yesterday. Renting this movie solely on the cover art. I'm like, all right, Killer Snowman, awesome, let's go. But I remember, it's funny. I rented it. I don't. So it came out in November. It may have been like right around the time it came out, because I remember it was winter. I don't think it was around Christmas. It might have been January, February, whatever. But I remember it being cold outside, and I rented this. And funny enough, I watched this movie that one time as a junior in high school. And believe it or not, this is my first rewatch since that very first and only
wow.
viewing of this movie. And I remember at the time, I thought it was such shit that I had no interest in going back to it, so I never bought it. It's not something that streams all that often. Obviously, these days you can see it a lot now on places like Tubi, but it was off my radar for a long time. And then when we got talking about movies for this time of the year, Jack Frost did come. That's what I think we're going to get into that. But that's
you
wild.
were the one that suggested this,
right?
This was your suggestion. So
that's what's insane, right? It's like it's been over 25 years since I've seen this movie, yet when I thought about this time of the year, Jack Frost immediately came to mind. So I think it says a lot about its, how memorable it is, if nothing else. So again, we'll probably get all into that. But yes, similar to John, it was really all about the cover art. I saw that and I had to see it.
A lot of cover art's very scary. Like, again, when I wasn't super into horror movies, seeing some of these covers, I remember the cover of Night of the Demons, and I remember the cover of
it's on the wall over there.
Yeah, not that it scared me. I just thought oh, this is gonna be fucking gross. I don't know if I can handle this. And I just remember seeing the Jack Frost. I'm like, this is gonna be cheesy or something like that,
And again, speaking for myself, that was the appeal. That was what I was looking for. When I grew up and got into pop culture stuff in general, I never obviously there's things you like that are popular. I liked Star Wars as a kid. I liked Ghostbusters, etc. Blah, 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 all that shit. But once you start developing your own interests and tastes and things, that's what you start pushing towards. And it kind of started with comics and stuff for me. And I kind of got out of that pretty quick and got into I think action movies came a little bit before horror movies, and horror movies were right on its heels. And like I said, speaking for myself, the second that I started finding, I know I got Evil Dead 2 was one of the first movies I really watched. My dad was just like, I got a football game to watch. You shut the fuck up and sit here. And I don't care if you're traumatized, So the second that I started watching movies like that, every single trip to the video store was like, what is the most effed up looking thing that I can find in this aisle that I'm going to be able to take home with me? Mm-hmm. And, traumatize myself, force myself to get through it. Saw a lot of boobs for the first time that way. I'm pretty sure that's how I fell in love with people like Linnea Quigley and Kelly Maroney, and the list probably got Barbara Crampton, Patty Mullen, list goes on. But that was, you got to keep in mind, and Greg, I know you're in the same, bucket with this. There was no internet. There was no streaming. There was no, in my house, there was no cable. It was, 5 over-the-air channels and whatever I could get from the video store. So this is kind of how we figured out what we liked. And like I said, I don't know if you guys had the same experience with it, but that's how it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was also a super video game nerd, so when I went to the video store, a lot of the times I would end up renting Nintendo games over like movies. But again, I was a huge fan of movies as well, and when I worked at Blockbuster, we got 5 free rentals every week. So I would take a couple games, a couple movies, but like I've mentioned before, my job was to find the covers of said movies on the shelf. I would go around every day, grab all these movies that were going to be resold. So I was out back watching movies for like 6 out of the 8 hours of my day, so I could watch whatever I wanted to. And I went around the aisle and watched like all the new stuff. And again, like I kind of stayed out of the horror aisle because maybe I was like creeped out by some of the covers. Not that I was scared, but I was just like, ugh, I don't know. But I remember watching Cat People because it was supposed to have like similar special. It was supposed to have similar special effects to American Werewolf in London, and I had seen that, and I was like, wow, this is a badass movie.
I'm glad to hear that you've seen American Werewolf in London. So, although I think I've heard you say that before. So
Similar to what John said, like growing up, and I've told the story before, I watched a lot of USA. I watched a lot of New York Channel 11, and those 2 stations played a lot of horror. So I saw a lot of the stuff edited as a kid. But then come video store time, much like John, and like Greg was talking about, when I went to the video store, I remember my video store which was a mom and pop one. They had this deal where you could go into the catalog of the old stuff, not the new releases, but all the older catalog stuff. And they did a thing where you could do 5 for $5. So you get 5 videos for $5. So that's how I really consumed a lot of it. Is I would go straight to the horror, and much like John, a lot of action as well. I'd usually split up and get 3 horror, 2 action, whatever it is. And that's how I ended up
comedy
consuming.
in there for shits and giggles or something.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, if I'm in the mood for that, but whatever. But yeah, so that's how a lot of the stuff either that I only seen edited on TV or hadn't seen yet in the 90s, that's when I was able to catch up on all that horror shit and everything, because I was going to the catalog section, 5 movies, a couple nights a week whenever my mom would give me the money to do it, and that's what I was consuming all the time.
Yeah, and it didn't hurt when you had that cool video clerk who knew his shit or whatever. That's what I enjoyed when I enjoyed talking about movies. Oh, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Have you seen Point Break? Have you seen Cat People? I wasn't obviously the cool horror guy. And one of my favorite things was Greg's picks or Justin's picks or John's picks. I used to love having my picks and people
Gene's trash.
Yeah, no Gene's picks.
Yeah, the other thing that's different now too, though, and I swear we'll start talking about this movie at some point during this episode, is it's so easy to quit on a movie now. Like I just did on Friday or Saturday, I started watching The Mean One with David Howard Thornton, and I got so fucking annoyed with it 20 minutes in that I was like, why am I doing this? And I just kind of gave up on it. That wasn't really the option when you were doing everything on VHS. If you had 5 movies or whatever, well, that's what you got to watch. So if it sucked, you sat through it and you dealt with it, and then you complained about it later and, whatever. So now, just using Tubi as an example, forget everything else. I didn't like The Mean One. I was annoyed with it. It sucked. It is crap. I'm not going to make you watch that, Greg. You're welcome. You can do that on your own time. I didn't know that was
David Howard Thornton either.
Yeah, it's terrible. But now, okay, this sucks. I have literally 100,000 other options to choose from without even leaving this fucking app. So I think that's one thing that sucks about film now, is people call it enshittification. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but no one's willing to just digest a bad meal to get to their next thing and make them actually appreciate something that might actually be good. You almost have to see how bad it can get before you can realize how good it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems like a good point as any to get into what's good and bad about this movie. So I'm going to let our student, as he wants to call himself, open it up. Greg, what are some of the things you liked or didn't like? Wherever you want to go with it, kick us off. How do you feel about 1997's Jack Frost?
Well, first of all, the positive for me was the acting. And it was
the positive.
It was so cheesy and bad that it was good, and I enjoyed myself.
Man, this is straight horror virgin talk right here. So.
Yeah, just
I love it.
The opening scene when he's smoking a butt in the back, or they're talking to him. It's just so cheesy, and the guy who played Jack Frost, is he the same guy who did the voice?
Yeah.
Before he gets acid, that guy was so cheesy looking, and his acting was so bad, but it just made me laugh constantly. So that was hilarious to me. A lot of the deaths, a lot of the one-liners. Who the two guys? It was Agent Manners and Stone, like the guy with the turtleneck. Like those guys made me laugh. And when he's like, "Do something," he's like, "What? Like teach him how to shoot better?" or like one of my favorite parts is when the Snowman or Jack Frost gets hit by the car and he's up there. He's like, "Oh, I can see your house from here." Like, what the fuck was that? And of course, the Shannon Elizabeth bathroom scene was hilarious to me. That was so fucking funny. A lot of his one-liners were so bad and so cheesy. Really, like, am I moving on to negatives, or should I just stick to positive?
Let's ping pong around a little bit. How about you,
Okay.
Justin? What do you got on here that you like?
Yeah, so I don't like as many things as it sounds like Greg does. And again, we'll probably unpack that a little bit, but I will say a couple of the things I like. For one, the one-liners do not work for me. I'm going to, again, expand on that in a little bit. But just first, I want to say I really like Sally's death. It's she's supposed to be the older woman. She's probably here only like fucking 42 years old, which is younger than us, but whatever. She's supposed to be an older woman. But anyhow, her death with getting her like face smashed into the Christmas balls and then she gets strung up on the Christmas tree. That's a lot of fun. It looks really cool. The effects kind of are what they are. But I had a lot of fun with that. And then when the cops finally arrive, they end up carrying her out of the house still attached to the tree on their shoulders, which is pretty fucking funny. So I do like that. And I will say, since you already brought it up, the bathtub scene is hilarious. You know, Jack kind of merges with Shannon's bathwater and then starts fucking screwing her with his carrot, I believe. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Her screaming's kind of over the top and great, so I had a lot of fun with that scene. So that's what I have so far.
So for me, my favorite thing about this movie is it feels like it's about 10 years past when it should have came out. This feels like a shitty 80s slasher in all the best ways possible. And it uses a lot of the same tropes that you see in a lot of those. I don't know if this is R-rated or not. I'm assuming it is, but like in those like late 80s, like light R, hard PG-13 movies where it's like, we're not going to show you the actual kill, but we're going to zoom in, like do these extreme close-ups on the face and maybe show you a little bit of the carnage on the back end. And that's how you can kind of explain or hand wipe away or maybe oven mitt away, you know, since that is what we see more often than not. Some of the things like how Jack Frost manages to like ram the butt end of an axe, not just down this guy's throat, but apparently he curves it because it's sticking straight up while the guy's laying. It just the angle doesn't make any fucking sense, but that kind of makes it entertaining for what it is. So I find that to be entertaining. I like how so many things that should raise alarms for normal human beings don't. You have a kid that witnesses a beheading in less than 24 hours. He's just hanging out with other kids and eating marshmallows. He puts the snowman's head back on the snowman after he thinks he witnesses the snowman murder a person, which is also comical. And there's a lot more of this, but I love that when we get towards the tail end of the movie, this kid was going to feed his father antifreeze. He also gets like an antifreeze baptism. And there's like no ill effects or no concern. Like, dude, you could have killed me. Like, antifreeze is not something you're supposed to eat. And they just hand wave it away. Oh, that's cool. There's perfectly normal killer snowman that needs this antifreeze smashed in his face through a plastic. Like, just stuff like that. The logic is so dumb that there's only two options. You can either be mad at it or you can just laugh at it. And I choose to laugh at it.
When the kid's like, "Dad, you forgot his arm." And he like grabs the kid and like just fucking dunks him in the antifreeze.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to mention, that's not going to, like, you can't just put a tarp in the back of a truck and fill it with any liquid. That's not going to work, but whatever. So
it's a redneck pool.
It is definitely a redneck pool. So
there's two things you said there. Well, two things I want to mention regarding the humor here. So I had started to say about how some of this humor just doesn't land for me. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit about that more when we talk about negatives. But there are two things. on the humor side that I really like. So John brought up the whole thing with the butt of the axe through the guy, right? Which makes no sense logistically. But what I do love that this movie does do well, if you remember, the two doofuses are trying to explain the physics of how he did it. And that's their way to kind of bring it up, make it obvious to you that everyone's in on the joke, which I do appreciate that. The other thing, probably my favorite gag in this movie, and I don't know why, but I really dig it. I love when Shannon Elizabeth and Fuckboy are trying to take all their layers of clothes off to get down to fucking.
It's on for like 4 minutes.
I know, it goes on for a ridiculous amount of time. The camera's going back and forth between the two of them. That part actually made me laugh out loud, so I had a lot of fun with that. It's probably my favorite gag in the entire movie.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If Shannon Elizabeth is the prize, that's worth like 14 hours of taking off layers in, wherever this is. But you're right. It goes on forever. And it's just like, man, don't you know? They're not even in like either of their houses. They broke into the chief of police's house to do this. Right. Like, I haven't been a teenager in a while, thankfully. But I think if I broke into a cop's house just to bone, I'm doing the bare minimum. I'm like, entry points only, and then we're moving on. And then he goes and puts fucking ice and champagne like a goober. But
yeah.
So
yeah, and I agree. The jokes didn't really land for me either. They were just so bad, like it made me laugh. Like the cheese was so fucking thick, like I had to lap it up. Like it was too much.
Yeah, and that's fair. So thick cheese leads to bad things, I guess. That's a horrible way to say it. But whoever wants to go first, Greg, let's stick with you. What didn't you like about Jack Frost?
The fucking kid. I could not stand that fucking kid. Him and his whatever he's making was like.
That's going to happen a lot throughout this series.
His oatmeal in the bag or whatever it is. Like he was such a horrible actor. Everybody was a pretty bad actor. I don't think there was any really standout actors at all. But the kid really annoyed me. The special effects were extremely cheesy, and I know, like I said, it almost seemed like a comedy horror. Like, I mean, were they going for this on purpose?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of one of the things you almost have to appreciate.
Well, they nailed it.
And again, you don't get movies like this now so much. This movie wasn't made. I'm going to jump ahead of you on a negative here, Justin, so I'm sorry. This movie wasn't made to win Oscars or anything like that. This movie was made because some guy did a line of blow, was watching Child's Play and said, I can make that movie with a snowman. And then, because this is really just the exact same premise of Child's Play, just with a snowman and less R-rated dialogue. And I'm not even a Child's Play fan, but I mean, the similarities are painfully fucking obvious. And if, Greg, you haven't seen Child's Play, I apologize. So.
I have seen Child's Play. I don't think I've seen 3 maybe, but I think I've seen 1 and 2.
Yeah, don't. But yeah, that's fine.
Also, the negative too was when he got hit with the acid, and it's like, it goes to like the graphics of just like the snow.
It looks like something out of that Rudolph cartoon.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is the kind of movie we're dealing with, so I get it. And I got it more the second time around. At first, I was like, wow, they're really missing on this horror movie. But, it's a horror comedy.
How about you, Justin? Why don't you unload on Mr. Frost and try to hit him once in a while?
All right, so with all due respect, when Shannon Elizabeth is the best part of your movie, you got problems. That's all I'm going to say. No. So Scott McDonald as Jack Frost is trying to do his best Brad Dourif, and he's failing fucking miserably. As a fan of Child's Play,
I'm not the only one who saw that. I'm glad to hear that.
It is 100% everything this movie's doing, but more specifically, everything Scott McDonald is doing is so heavily, I don't even want to say influenced or paying homage. They're just going to flat out try to copy that style of dialogue that Brad Dourif gives us as Chucky, and they fail miserably, like I said. I mean, let's not forget, I don't even think Bride of Chucky came out yet, which is kind of funny, because that's really when Brad Dourif really dials it up even more. But I know part 2...
99, I think?
I think that was 98, so it came out a year later. But it's funny, you would almost think that came out right before this, because it is so much playing in that type of wheelhouse. But again, he's failing miserably at it. And back to what I said with the humor, like, I think about, and this is a poor example, but I think about Sleepaway Camp, because we just covered it, and I've rewatched that movie so many times, and I love that movie for so many reasons. But that movie is maybe in a lot of ways unintentionally funny. I don't know, because I still can't quite tell what the filmmakers were going for with Sleepaway Camp. So I think a lot of it's unintentional, but that movie's so much more funny to me in such a natural way. This movie is like that fucking kid in school who thinks he's funny, so he just keeps doing it, keeps poking the bear, and it just gets more annoying the more he does it. That's what this movie does to me. It's very forced humor, very heavy-handed, and to me, I want to have a great time with this movie. And don't get me wrong, it's going to sound like I'm really down on it. There's things I appreciate. But for the most part, I end up feeling kind of annoyed by it. And that sucks. But at any rate, yeah, so it kind of really comes down to the humor. It comes down to Scott McDonald trying to do his best Brad Dourif. And it at the end of the day, this movie's shit. It looks like shit. It's acted like shit. Shit writing, shit editing, shit effects. This movie's a piece of shit.
It's like white dog shit.
And having said all that, that's not always necessarily a bad thing, but it all kind of.
I want to remind everyone this month was Justin's suggestions for this particular movie. So.
I'm going off fucking 25, 28 year memory. So
let me just say too, with Brad Dourif, like Brad Dourif is an excellent actor.
Oh, yeah, exceptional.
Put Chucky aside. I mean, obviously he's good in Chucky as well, but like, Mississippi Burning.
He's good in Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings is Wormtongue.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like, he's a great actor, and this guy clearly is not. So to take an actor to try to live up to that, like, you're just not gonna do it. So nice try though.
Well, and again, the horror genre is full of ripoffs. Like, Justin and I are huge fans of Friday the 13th. The creator of Friday the 13th has blatantly flat out said, I ripped off Halloween. Like, he doesn't hide it at all. So horror, I'm not going to say it's built on ripping each other off, but it's a huge part of what happens in the genre. So I'm not going to chastise the movie for that, but it clearly happened with this one.
Have you seen that movie? It's fucking way better than Friday the 13th, In a Violent Nature.
No, because it's not really...
Greg hasn't seen it.
Yeah, Greg's not going to see it with me. So.
I was going to say, Justin hasn't seen it yet either, and I haven't watched it because of listening to Dewey Podmonster break it down. And
Same.
Exactly.
I think Scott really hated it as well.
He did. And that was the only movie where I think we both got about 2 minutes into it. We kind of... It's a total unnecessary tangent, but Sean and I kind of looked at each other and said, do you have anything positive to say? Not really, not really. Cool, we're just going to fuck this movie over for the rest of this episode. I think that's the most angry we've both been at the same movie.
I loved it.
Yeah, that was a rough watch. So even with what's-her-face from Friday the 13th 2, who's barely in any movies, that's not enough to make me like it. So maybe if she was in it more. But we're not talking about In a Violent Nature, thank Christ. We're talking about Jack Frost. Like I said, there's the other negatives with this kind of come with this kind of movie. This is, whether you want to call it schlock or cheese or made for TV shitness, it's all there. This is TV actors acting like TV, like being directed like in a TV role. The police procedural bullshit plays like TV police procedural. It's very coincidental, oh, my kid tried to feed me antifreeze. Oh, wow, that worked really good at getting rid of the monster bad guy. It very much so just force feeds you every plot point. It doesn't want you to think too much about anything, which is probably for the better. And I'm not saying that's a whole on negative, but you can't deny the fact that, like Justin said, this is a shitty movie. But this is also one of those entries in film that's like, yeah, but I had fun with it. So, what are you going to do? So, anyone else got anything they want to hit on as far as the main meat and potatoes, good, bad, or indifferent on this movie?
I don't think so. I will once again say, Shannon Elizabeth's fucking awesome. And I actually wish she was in it a little bit more. Because, again, I think she's the best part of it. And that's saying a lot because I don't think she's a very good actress. But while she's on screen, she's fun.
I think she's good when she's not pushed to do things that she's not able to do, and that sounds shitty.
And that's why she works so well here, I think.
Well, in any the 3 movies I rambled off when we were talking about the cast and crew, that's why she works in those movies, because she's not asked to do anything that she can't do. She's not being told to go out there and be Jodie Foster in Taxi Driver. She's being told. I mean, she's 24 when this was filmed, but she's being told be a kid and that's pretty much it for about 10 minutes of screen time, maybe.
Maybe.
You know, she doesn't have to fill the role of, I don't know, fucking Michelle Pfeiffer. She just has to go out there and collect a paycheck.
I do love how her brother just got killed, and she's like, "I'm going out."
Yeah, gonna go out and get dick down in this tub.
Yeah.
See you later.
Your brother just lost his head.
Well, you know, it's a good stress relief. So, all right. Anything else we want to tag in with, or we want to go ahead and hear what other people had to say about this film?
Let's do it.
All right. So, do we want to start with Letterboxd, or do we want to start with not Justin? You're not Letterboxd. I'm saying Letterboxd the reviews, or do you want to start with audience response?
What do you think, Greg?
I don't really care which.
I think we should start with Letterboxd.
Letterboxd?
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Letterboxd. So, I wish I would. This movie didn't really lend itself well to me going off on people on Letterboxd, but I'll do my best. So I have two reviews from Letterboxd. The first one is from Cinema Void, who has only this to say: "It's not really Christmas until a snowman rapes a teen." ... Damn, that was cold. Cinema Void, I'm concerned about you, my friend.
Yeah.
Next up, Corkscrew Ted says this. And John brought this up earlier.
Name.
It is. He says, "What if Child's Play was cheap, stupid, and pretty boring? That's basically this movie." Well, let me say this. Ted, I'll give you the cheap and stupid thing. But this film is anything but boring, okay? I shit on it a little bit, but it's not boring. If you want boring, my friend, go watch Titanic or Hook, okay? Those fucking movies are boring.
Hey, Bangarang Rufio.
Mm-hmm. That's it from Letterboxd this time.
All right. So how about some audience reactions? I know we had several. So are you guys going to just kind of go back and forth with those?
Yeah, we can go back and forth.
All right. Go ahead and kick us off, Greg.
So I'll start off with my girlfriend, Michelle, who gave it 1 crust and said she intentionally fell asleep while we watched it.
Intentionally. I love it.
It's amazing.
All right, so Jordana at Pretty Killer Podcast says, "I'm going to have to go with good buddy to be or not to be movies with his Crustometer rating and review. It's so bad, but so much fun." And I just realized I should have went with his first, because now it doesn't make any sense. But we'll get there.
So Sandy, who also watched Sleepaway Camp, and, you know, I think she scored it pretty low. Michelle also loved Sleepaway Camp so much more that she's like, Sleepaway Camp was the least fun. She's like, this was, you know, horrible. Sandy, the whole time, she's like, what the fuck are you watching? These one-liners aren't hitting at all. This is the cheesiest movie I've ever seen in my life.
We could make it so much worse. I could make it so much worse for you, for sure. So.
She gave it 0 to 1 crust.
So speaking of to be or not to be movies, they gave it a 4 out of 8 and says, I mean, it's garbage, but it's fun garbage. Plus, for what Shannon Elizabeth had to go through, it's at least 4 crust. Now, the sequel, don't dare subject yourself to that.
Really?
I still enjoy the sequel. So it's worse than this, but I laugh. So he goes to Hawaii in the sequel.
Oh, is that the one with Michael Keaton?
It is not. It's pretty much the same. Whoever didn't die in this movie, they all go to Hawaii, including
it's the same
Mr.
cast.
Frost, for the most part.
So they really missed the boat not sending him into space.
The FBI guy or whatever who gets his face bit off at the end of the movie, he's back, but he's recast as a different actor, so his face is fine. So,
oh man,
fake mustache, perhaps.
Oh shit,
yeah, pretty much.
So Kate from Down Under, oi, gives it a 3 out of 8 crust. Is it a good movie? Not really. Is it essential viewing at least once in your life? Absolutely.
I think her definition of essential and my definition of essential are 2 different things.
I mean, well, she's in Australia, so I think they mean something completely different.
Very true. Our man BP at Let's Talk Horror Channel says this: "It's a fantastic example of a shit movie that's so shit it becomes legendary. I always enjoy watching it, but I also know it's shit, but there's some absolute gold in this movie, and yes, I watch it every year."
Speaking of BP, we got him coming on to do Aliens probably right after this comes out, so
nice.
Check that out. I'm excited to cover Aliens. So this girl loves horror, a.k.a. Becky from the Girl in the Gate podcast, another You Run member, says, I love this film. Such trash, but a fun what the fuck am I watching film. It makes me laugh and is great for the festive season. 4 out of 8 crusts.
Next up, Dissect That Film Pod says, this movie is a wild, coked out idea that works in a way you need to go in knowing what to expect. I can guarantee Shannon Elizabeth hasn't made a snowman to this day. 3 out of 8 on the Crustometer.
Nice.
She won't sign stuff from this movie. I know that. Like, she's known for that she pretty much, if someone brings like a Jack Frost VHS or something to like a con, she won't sign it. So
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which, I mean, I don't think it's her worst movie, but whatever.
No,
So,
not at all.
She's great in Scary Movie, too. I forgot about that.
I forgot she's in that, but okay. So,
Scott from You Run Podcast says,
pip, pip.
2 is amazing and 1 is fucking weird. And he didn't give a score at all. So I'm assuming he says, no crust. No crust for you.
That's right. Finally on my list, XX Pearly XX says, it's late 90s B-movie trash with the first sighting of Shannon Elizabeth's Yabos, I think that's how you pronounce it, in it. What's not to love? I watch it once a year. It's a solid 5 inches of Snowman crust out of 8.
Hey. I didn't see no Yabos.
I didn't either.
They pop a little. They're obscured a little bit. You get like side Yabo.
So Philly Thoughts saw it as a kid, thought it was the coolest Christmas movie I've ever seen. That's why I love antifreeze.
Is that all we got on audience, or do we got one more?
I got one more. Ryan couldn't make it tonight because his charging cord could not charge. So his computer is dead, and he says the carrot sex scene changed his life forever. 4 out of 8, mostly for carrot sex.
I think that needs to be unpacked a little bit, but that's a different tangent for a different day. Also, I wanted to really quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, big shout out to Phil from Boozy who chimed in. I really appreciate that. And please, everybody, go check out the interview that Greg and I did on that. I had to do that plug. Sorry, boys.
That was Philly Thoughts? That was Boozy?
Yeah, that's the bassist.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. That dude's nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Good bass player.
So I'm glad we got a bunch of audience responses. I think we had more this time than the previous 2 combined, so that's good. Hopefully we keep growing like that and can get more of your reactions in there. Before we get to our thoughts on this, let's switch some shit up. We're going to go ahead and recast some people. Justin, let's start with you this time. Who do you want? If you are going to recast or change something about this movie, make it good, make it better, you could put Martin Scorsese as the director if you wanted to. That'd be weird. How are you switching stuff up on this movie?
All right, I'm going to be timely with this one, although when it comes out, it may not be as timely, but I did decide to do a recast. But real quick, first of all, I should probably recast just about everybody except for Shannon Elizabeth, but especially McDonald himself. So who I'm going to drop into this movie to play any of the roles, because he's the most shit actor of all shit actors in the history of movies. I'm talking about Quentin Tarantino. Fuck you for shitting on guys like Matthew Lillard. You can go fuck yourself. I love your movies, but you're a fucking pretentious douchebag. So go ahead and be in this movie and act as shitty as you always do. Sorry, tangent's over.
And he's shitting on Paul Dano. I mean, Paul Dano,
I know, but
amazing.
The Matthew Lillard thing really fired me up. Like, he's an idiot to think Paul Dano's not a good actor. The guy's proven himself to be a quality actor. But when you shit on Matthew Lillard, who's a good fucking dude, in addition to being a very underrated actor, yeah, he's gone too far, man. He thinks way too fucking highly of himself. I just had to say it. So there you go.
Yeah, say what you want about Matthew Lillard. He's been in some cheesy movies, but he's not like a horrible actor. Like, he's a decent actor in a lot of the stuff he's in.
He's in one of my top 10 movies, and one in probably if I had to write it down, top 25 to 50. So he's better than a lot of people are. So
SLC Punk's one of them, guaranteed.
That's the second half. You already know the one that's in the top 10. So
Scream.
You had me talk about that one at length. But yes. Greg, how about you? Who are you putting in this movie? What are you switching up?
I'm switching up the whole cast almost. So I got 2 options for Jack Frost, and one of them makes more sense when I get to the sheriff. So I got Jim Carrey or Jack Black as Jack Frost. I got Tommy Lee Jones as Sheriff Sam, because he's sick of Jim Carrey's buffoonery. And I just think it would be funny to get those 2
Well,
the
plus
same movie.
Batman Forever's back at it. I love it. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
Bring those two back together.
Stephen Baldwin as Agent Manners.
Oh, Jesus.
And Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall as Stone. Because they kind of look a little bit similar.
So I agree. You could recast everyone, but I only did two because I want these two to play off each other, and I think this would just make the movie endlessly entertaining for myself. I don't know if anyone else will agree. So I'm recasting Jack Frost, just his voice. I don't care about the actor that plays him for 2 minutes, with a tried and true Bobcat Goldthwait. Preferably Bobcat Goldthwait in the 80s and 90s when he does the up and down voice that's impossible to replicate. And then to foil that, I'm going with the ultimate badass, shoot everything that moves cop that's ever copped. Charles fucking Bronson is playing Sam. And he's just, but I don't want him to be a good cop. I want him to be fucking, 10 to midnight Charles Bronson. I want him to be like the Charles Bronson that's like, hey, I'm going to shoot you in the face and then ask questions later. That Charles Bronson. So the population of this town is going to go down from like 25 to like 6 by the end of this movie. So
there you go. Bobcat, Charles Bronson, Shannon Elizabeth. This movie became a masterpiece.
It'd definitely be interesting. So it's a
right,
different vibe. So. And that leaves us with wrapping shit up, and we're going to talk about how the three of us feel about this movie. We're going to crust it out. Greg, you're going to go last because you're the student or whatever we're calling you for this. Justin, why don't you go ahead and lead us off? Put this on the crustometer.
All right. So this movie has a level of dumb as shit fun to it. There's no doubt about that. But overall, as I said earlier, it's pretty shit. There's also something to be said, as I said earlier, how memorable and interesting this stupid film is, considering that I remembered it from all those years later. I remembered it being shit, but I remembered it, being somewhat fun as well. I really honestly wanted to enjoy this movie more, but it feels kind of soulless. Like, everything feels forced. It's trying really hard to be irreverent. It's trying really hard to be campy. It's trying too hard to me to be over the top. Most of the campy films of the 80s and even the early 90s have more of an authentic feel, I feel. They don't feel forced, but more natural in their zaniness. In that way, they have a genuine charm that this movie, at the end of the day, kind of lacks. So for me, it's a 3 out of 8 at best.
Okay, so for me, this movie has a lot of bonus points by being I guess I'm going to call it a Christmas movie. And that just works because is this movie good? No. Is the acting good? Not especially. Is the writing good? No. But it takes place at Christmas. It feels kind of festive. It's got a lot of red and green shit, and it's got a mutant snowman with oven mitts smacking people around. In December, that's all I really need. So I give it like 5 out of 8 on the crustometer. Is it good? No. Do I watch it probably once a year or so? Yeah. Do I usually follow it up with the sequel shortly after that? Yeah. It's kind of in that same boat with movies like Santa's Sleigh and other crap. These aren't good movies, but I like them and I keep going back to them. So could have used some Goldberg in this movie. That might have helped too. So he's kind of a dick also. So
yeah. So,
Greg, the floor is yours. Let us know, crustometer, your impressions, wrap it up with a nice big calling on you.
So the movie was so cheesy, it was good, but it was also so fucking bad at the same time. In the series we've done so far, Sleepaway Camp definitely set the bar for cheesy, funny slasher. Like, just super cheesy lines that never landed. I was mildly entertained by this movie. I would give it a 3.5 out of 8.
Wow, you're going into the points.
The best part of this movie is probably the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Except that cover is hard to find now.
Yeah, it's worth more than this movie's made, probably.
It's close. So, any final thoughts? Are we ready to wrap this up and go have some eggnog and get shot through the chest like Tom Atkins?
You know what eggnog is, right?
The instrument of Tom Atkins' death?
No, it's elf cum.
I like my answer better because I like Tom Atkins. So
you might as well pour it on your back and slap yourself in the ass.
Greg, are you familiar with the mastery of acting that is Tom Atkins? I know you haven't seen a bunch of things that you should have seen of his. So.
I've seen you guys post memes of him. I know who he is. He's like an older
You know the
gentleman
power of his mustache?
with his mustache. Yes, I've seen his mustache, and it's very
Do you know that he's
inspiring.
fueled by Miller High Life and young women?
I could tell that about him.
So we've gone on about Jack Frost for way too fucking long. We're coming up on the runtime of this movie. That's my personal rule. You don't go past the runtime of a movie because you have that much to say about it. Maybe you should just shut up and watch the movie again. If you didn't know, Greg also hasn't seen a bunch of great action movies. This one might blow your mind because it blew my mind. There's a little classic indie film called Commandos starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and a lookalike Freddie Mercury that we're going to have to dive into. And I, for one, can't wait to ring into the new year, making Greg watch one of my all-around favorite action movies of all time. A little bit harder one to find as far as streaming if you want to do it for free. So anyone who's listening to this, like, you might have to shell out $5 if you haven't seen it or if you want to rewatch it, or if you're someone like me who spends too much money on physical media, you probably have 1 or 2 copies of it already. But yeah, next month we're going to tackle Commando. We're going to pop Greg's cherry on some late 80s action classics and continue this journey as Greg goes through the world of, let's be real, goes through the world of video store gems.
One of my favorite actions as well, and it has a young, right before Who's the Boss, Alyssa Milano in it as well.
I was going to say, I knew that she was in that. Also, if you want to watch it, just, John will send it to you. He's got 25 copies of it.
I've only got 2, but yeah, I could do that. So that's all we got. Greg, why don't you go ahead and wrap this shit up and start bringing us home?
Yeah, thanks to everybody who listens. If there's a movie that Greg hasn't seen that you want me to see, obviously send us a message on Instagram. You can hit me up on Old Nerdy Bastard. You can eat that crust. You can hit Justin up on Pop Culture Reflections. You can hit John up on Dewey Pod Monster. We are all proud members of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find all our shows and all the other awesome shows on yourunpodcast.com. If you want to join our Patreon for just as low as $1, you can get episodes just like this one up to a week early. And we appreciate you listening. Definitely check out Pop Culture Reflections and definitely check out Dewey Pod Monster. I think that's about it. You guys got anything to say?
Swell up, Budhorns. Let's go.
All right. See ya.
Bye.